does that even mean, Bowers game corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. Today, very excited checking out Chekit, an exciting game of strategy. Period. Fun for the whole family. Period. This is for 1 to 6 players. Age is 8+. It'll take, I don't know, about 20 to 40 minutes to play. And in Chekit, they tried to take dominoes, the simple concept of dominoes, and mix it up by making these hexagonal tiles with instead of numbers, they only have dots and triangles on them. It has a solo game, it has a team game, it has wilds you can mix in there. But is it good? It's an old school style game. Let's check it out. I'll tell you what I think. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Chekit. So, first and foremost, we have a handy-dandy rule sheet. This is it right here. The back just has a whole bunch of pictures of different tiles. And honestly, you're only going to need this portion of it to learn how to play the game, along with some examples. This is the, if you want to play with a joker, with a team game, solitaire, short game. So this is it. So it should be pretty clear and concise, and it was not clear and concise. I had a lot more issues understanding this game than I have much more complex games, just because the rule booklet should have been formatted and written a little bit better. That being said, I can teach you how to play the game relatively easy because it is a simple game once it clicks and once you understand what's going on, but the rules are not as good as you'd like them to be, mostly because they kind of screw up explaining what this little line is, when in actuality, it's a very simple explanation. They just didn't do it very well. So in Chekit, what you're trying to do is you're trying to be the first person to get to 100 points or 150 points, depending on if you're playing the regular game or the team game. You're going to do that by placing out tiles on your turn. Once someone has placed all their tiles, you will tally up the number of black triangles, which are those ones right there, that everybody else has, and you'll gain that number of points. It has a very dominoes-esque feel in that aspect, where you play stuff out and you score points based on what's in your opponent's hand. Now, the differences in this game is obviously you're going to be using different sized tiles, and these are going to have triangles on them with little circles, but it's pretty much the same core thing. You were trying to match things up. So I'll just go ahead and show you a couple mock turns, and you'll quickly understand the game. So everyone's going to start with 8 tiles in front of them. You're supposed to set them up like this so nobody else can see them, but with a felt table, it's very difficult, and honestly, since no one else is playing, it doesn't matter if anybody sees this. Next, you're going to flip this up in the air. That's the side you're going to use. You're going to figure out who's going to go first by drawing tiles out of here, and whoever has the most black diamonds goes. But let's just go ahead and go. So on my turn, I would do this, and that would be the end of my turn. Hooray! Now when it comes back to me, I have to once again match. And the two ways you can match, or you can match circle to circle, as long as the circles are the same. So you couldn't match that circle to that circle, because obviously they're different. Or you can do what's called a color match. And a color match is where there's nothing but colors. So like black and white right here. Now, where these lines come into play is that you cannot, when you play a color match, it just has to be on the same side of the line. So I could do that, but I could not do this, because that would break the color match rule, or that would break the line rule. Why is that the case? I'm not quite sure. I'm sure it's something to do with balancing, but hey, whatever. So I might go right here, and boom, that would be the end of my turn. And then it gets back to me, and then let's go nuts. Let's go crazy. Do I have anything with two? Nope, I can't play there. I can probably play here. Yeah, I can play there by going right, boom, and doing that. You're going to keep doing this. Next I might go right here. And what you can try and do is set yourself up. Because, and I need to make sure I go back to the rules, because no one ever did this in 3 games, but what can happen is you can set yourself up for what's called a Chekit, which is if you're able to put down a piece and it creates a 4 triangle play. So it syncs up to 4 triangles. Like right now it'd be 1, 2, 3. So you'd have to have 1 more down here somehow. And you call Chekit because you have a piece that would fit in there, and then if it gets back to you, you'll earn 20 points. If somebody else takes it, then they get 10 points. Also, if you do a 5, you get 50 points. If you call Chekit, then somebody else gets 25, and if you do a 6, you just automatically win the game. Not that any of those 3 scenarios ever happened, but I guess that it's feasibly possible they could happen. They did not happen in our games. But anywho, what happens when you can't play a domino, you may be asking? Well, this is one of those lovely games where if you can't play a domino, then you keep drawing and reaching into the pile until you can play it. Now, that being said, there's lots of different spaces to play, so it doesn't happen, too often that you're drawing tile after tile after tile after tile. But eventually what's going to happen is someone is going to win the game, or win the round, I should say, by playing their last tile, at which point you will tally up your score, and your score is however many black triangles somebody gets. So let's pretend this is a 2-player game. I lose. They win this round, so they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 points from me, because that's how many black triangles I have remaining in my hand. We'd write that down, and then we'd rinse, wash, and repeat. The other aspect that I didn't mention, there's a team game. I don't really need to go into that much. It's pretty much a very similar game. Is this guy right here. He's a wild. He does wild stuff. It's optional whether or not you want to play with him, but he can fit anywhere. So there you go. That in a nutshell is how you're going to play. Check it. Alrighty then, check it. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the pros side, component-wise, these tiles, these domino, hexagonal, whatever tiles, very, very nice. These things are going to be standing the test of time. You could be playing this 100 years from now, and this game's already 20, 30 years old, and those things are still going to be around. So very nice component-wise. Also, the box doesn't waste much space, which I do like. The rules are short, which I'll talk more about the rules and the cons, but the rules are short, so in theory, should be an easy learn game. It is easy to teach other people how to play this game, which is nice. It feels like there's more strategy in this than there is in a similar game like Dominoes. Now, that being said, I was not able to find said strategy, and no one I played with was able to find said strategy, but it feels like there is more strategy in this, even though I might be giving this game too much credit there. Love the player count. 1 to 6 players is fantastic player count. Also, being able to play it solo so you can learn the game and then teach other people. And I tried it solo. The solo I actually liked better than playing it with other people, which I guess is a pro? Question mark. I do like the fact that you can play this as a team game. I do like partnership games a lot. I think that's a cool element that needs to be in more games. And if you find it, you're probably going to find it for dirt cheap, because it's an older school game. It's from, I don't know, 19 something or other. And that's what we got. Moving on to the cons, Chekit is boring. It is a boring game. It's a functional game. The game works. You can play the game, but dear God, you'll probably not want to, because it is just boring. Each time I played the game, I was bored. Other people playing were bored, and we kept looking for the strategy and not being able to find the strategy that was in the game, because you can set yourself up and you get the check-ins if you get 4 or 5 or 6, but that never happened. And it wasn't even close. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I would have just would have had this and this. I could have set myself up big time. It just didn't happen. And when it did happen, it happened dumb luck. What I mean to say is there were a couple scenarios where other people put 4 in, but it wasn't because someone else had set themselves up and said check it. It was just because someone, this is the spot that I have to play, because this is where my tiles match, and someone else was able to take advantage of that. The rules were, the rules were very interesting because they're very short. They have plenty of examples, which means that you should be able to figure out the game very easily, and I could not figure out this game to save my life, to the point where I was slightly embarrassed at how I could not figure out such a simple game. And I can't pinpoint to you exactly what it is in the rules that threw me up so much. It mostly, well, there was part of it because of these lines in the middle, and the description on how the lines work was not clear at all. Despite the fact the lines, it should have been a very simple explanation of how the lines on the tiles work, and it was not. But other than that, the rules just didn't do it for me. So I'm going to say they're bad rules, and I feel like I've played enough games and read enough rule booklets that I can safely say that, because I read rule booklets all the time, and this one just didn't do it for me for some reason. So boring. No score pad. There's no easy way to keep track of the score. You just have to use a pen and a paper. I mean, the scoring itself is very simple, but you're going to need a pen and a paper. So that is what it is. The box is kind of a cheap and chintzy box, so it's starting to come apart. Granted, it is 20 or 30 years old, but hey, it's still a cheap and chintzy box. It doesn't change that factor. This is the kind of box you'd find in a game in like the dollar store or something like that. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. I don't know why I review games like this. Like, nobody else is doing crap like this. Like, it's not a good game. It's boring, and I don't want to spend any more time on it. I have no desire to play this. It's not staying in my collection. It's going to be going to that collection of games that I put in my classroom that kids take. And this is going to be one of those games that I'm going to cringe when a kid eventually does take it and be like, hey, hope you have fun just kind of stacking them up and playing dominoes because the game, not very good. But there you go. That's Chekit. It is not fun. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know what's a game recently that you were bored in. And personally, it was Chekit, which I actually think I want to give it another shot because it looks like a fascinating game. But during the rules explanation, I missed a huge rule. Either that or she didn't explain it well enough. And it could be either one because actually that game was, that game was a nightmare. It went 5 hours long. Someone fell asleep during the rules explanation twice to the point they were snoring. And oh my gosh, it was the most uncomfortable, cringy thing ever, which I love. I love stuff like that, especially in real life. Like, I was trying not to burst out laughing because the person was snoring, and the person explaining the rules was like, hey, excuse me? Like, really? Oh, man. But in all fairness, I almost fell asleep during the rules explanation as well. Not like almost, like 95% of the way, but probably like 80% of the way, which I don't normally do. Like, I've been on like 18-hour gaming marathons before and not fallen asleep during games or during rules. So the way she was explaining the rules was not very good. But let me know in the comments below. When's the last time you were super bored during a game? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.